Well, welcome to a new Harry's Garage video. And this one is going to be about my McLaren 650S that I got June last year. And what we're going to do in this video, we're going to visit MSO in Woking, the HQ of where this car is about. And if you remember the history of this car, this was originally done as MSO's sort of demonstrator to show all the personalisation they could do on a McLaren 650S. So it is smothered in all sorts of extras and carbon fibre everywhere. From here, sills, we'll look at the interior in a moment, special wheels, the yellow calipers, and I think the best bit on it is probably around the back because it's also got this GT3 actual diffuser from their race series, and apparently that was made in their race departments before MSO was actually doing those, and then he offered it as an option. So it is dripping in all this lovely carbon and loveliness. The registration is just a sort of look back at, it was originally registered Y1 MSO when it was MSO's demonstrator, and it didn't go out to journalists. This was a customer facing thing, so at events, so if you were an invited guest to Goodwood Festival Speed and to their enclosure, this would be sitting on a plinth somewhere. So that's the sort of backstory to this car. And there's, much as I've enjoyed this car, and I've really enjoyed it, there is one thing that really niggles me, and that's inside. It is not now that McLaren Special Operations in vibrant yellow. That did bug me when I first saw it, and the yellow belts and things. And then I've sort of accepted it because, as I know, it's MSO's demonstrator. Incidentally, I was looking at the options list on this car, and it's quite useful to look back at the time when this car was new. £215,000 in 2015 was the list price of a 650S. The options on all this car, which includes stuff I've not seen on other cars, like these carbon in the doors around, it's just ridiculous how much there is, was £287,690 in 2015. Put that into an inflation calculator to work what it would actually cost today, and you get to a £389,540 equivalent price of today. Mad amount of money. So you think I'll be really happy. I'm not. And it's all to do with that steering wheel. And what bugs me about it is, it's beautiful leather here and here, the bits basically you don't touch. But the bit you do touch, it is this strange perforated leather, and it just bugs me. It's so aggressive. It's so, every time I touch it, I think, oh, why can't it be smooth leather like that? So I have been investigating what I could do about it. And there are people who will retrim it. And then I thought, because this car was MSO, I'll give MSO a call. And I did, and I said, could you retrim the steering wheel on my car? Yep, certainly, sir. It's about £2,500, which is a fair bit more that I've been quoted elsewhere. But I just felt with its history, I'd go and take it to MSO, and also I'd really like to have a peek behind the curtain because it's a fairly secret place. It's not at the McLaren Technical Centre that we all know as home of McLaren. This is within Woking on a business park, and they do very special things to all sorts of McLarens. It's also where the McLaren F1 gets serviced, and that was created in Gordon Murray's time there. And it's also, I had that McLaren SLR on test, we took it up to Lake District. That car was created there too. So what we're going to do, I'm going to drive this car down there, and the next time we see us, we'll be going in and just see what is behind the curtain, McLaren MSO. Just come up the stairs and there's this timeline of things there. We're looking at these lovely things you can do to your McLaren, all in here. A buck of the Sterling Moss SLR, which I remember well. But what we're going to do now, we're going to step through that door, and I'm going to introduce you to Neil Underwood, who I've known for many years because he's head of MSO. Neil, good to see you. It's been a
Harry, great to see you again. And welcome to McLaren Special Operations.
Unbelievable toy shop. And we should say we've known each other for some time because of my affection with Overfinch many moons ago.
Absolutely, yeah. No, we've known each other for 30 years, so it's nice to be reacquainted.
Yeah.
And what you'll see in terms of bespoke here sets new benchmarks.
Oh, thinking, I can't believe what you've got in here. My car's there amongst this group.
Absolutely, and we've got the
cars.
whole evolution of our what we call the P11 range, which was started with the 12C, and then going into the very, very limited run of HS cars that we did on the 12C, which was a fantastic project. Your car obviously was a very important car, both in coupe and spider form.
Yes, you did a bit before.
The first car we did was for Pebble Beach in 2010, so that was the first car, and then obviously we got into the P1.
Yes.
But the history of MSO actually goes back to the McLaren F1, because we were the customer care division for the McLaren F1.
Yeah.
And as you can see today, we've got some
there.
McLaren F1s in here.
Yeah.
And we still are the custodians of the car.
Amazing. I also see how dominant SLR has come for you as well, looking at this.
Yes, so after the McLaren F1, obviously we had the association with Mercedes. 2,000 cars were built, and that really sort of, I think, redefined what bespoke was, and we started to personalise the cars for customers then. We still find that there's a really strong following for this car.
Yes.
Some of our key sort of technical people were on the original production line. You know, our workshop manager finished the Sterling Moss, so that was the last of the line cars.
Well, it's an interesting car, SLR. We ought to go downstairs because it's a usable car, isn't it? It's one you do miles in it.
It's a great sort of grand tourer, and what we can do in terms of both, not just the sort of colour and material side of things, but also performance, handling, exhaust, everything like that. We can enhance this car quite a lot.
Yeah, which you could probably do on my 650S, but I'm trying desperately just to stick it with a steering wheel. But
I'm sure we can. I'm sure we can. We can improve on that.
Yeah, shall we have a look? Can we go downstairs?
Let's do that. Let's do that.
Thank you. I was just commenting on the tiles because they're not shiny white in sort of Ron Dennis style.
It is a functional workshop. This,
yes.
You know, we get through a decent volume of cars, both from a heritage perspective and our current car lines.
Yeah.
This is quite an interesting car because this is one of our forthcoming SLR HDKs. So this is
a roadster.
Absolutely.
Right.
We started with the coupe.
Yeah.
We built 12 cars, which celebrate the association with GT3 racing. So they were based on the GT3 car that we produced a prototype, and Mercedes produced a prototype, and unfortunately they went racing with their car, but we still had that prototype, and we created for customers 12 very unique cars.
Yeah.
And then there was such a demand for that that people said, well, we've missed out on the HDK. How do we get one? Let's do a roadster. So that's what we did, and this is one of the first of those cars.
There's a roadster sort of.
That's the prototype car that we produced.
And then you've got a coupe one over there. Haven't
Yep,
you?
there's a coupe, one of the last of the coupes that we're about to deliver.
But you've got an F1 in the workshop.
The absolute iconic car. I think you probably would agree that in the last 50 years, there's not a more significant car than the F1. And we're very proud to be the custodians of this car. We've recently enhanced our archive, which basically has all of the existing original build books for the cars and all the customer files in our archive room. But this car has come in for a full certification program. It's something that we introduced in 2020, and this has the certification, and it's also got our fuel tank in it, which is an aluminium fuel tank.
Should we go round?
Let's go round and have a look.
You've got the engine out.
Amazing 6-litre V12 Paul Roche designed engine. I think what's unbelievable about this is you think that in 1998 our XP5 car did a maximum speed run of 240.1 miles an hour.
Yeah, it was nuts.
That, as a normally aspirated car, still stands today.
Is it really?
There is no car that, from a normally aspirated perspective, has gone faster. What we're doing with the F1, or have been doing over the last 18 months, is making sure that we protect the legacy of this car for its customers. Yeah. So, big investment in terms of the alloy fuel tank, which you can see
We were talking about that. I didn't realise that it's almost, because of modern fuels, you've had to do this almost. You can't just put another bag tank in it.
Absolutely, and obviously the fuel technology is moved. It's become more corrosive, and therefore we've wanted to have a solution where F1 customers don't have to have the bag tank changed every 5 or 6 years, because it is as you can see, it's a full engine and gearbox out. It's not a small operation.
No,
and you can see that our technician here is painstakingly putting on 24 karat gold leaf onto the engine bay, and that is, I think, James, a 2-week process.
Yes.
To complete that is a 2-week process.
I thought once it was gold and that was it never corrodes and it would look shiny for hundreds of years, but no.
Its harnesses, it's a nightmare to keep clean. It's very easy to damage. Its sole job is for heat purposes, so it collects heat. So it's great at doing that. Everything else, it's not so great.
And it's in a pretty hostile place, isn't it, really?
Yeah,
that's it.
You can't get worse than an engine.
No. No, brilliant. Thank you, Dave. And this was a surprise. I didn't realise the exhaust was actually part of the crash structure at the back, and that's why that box has that volume in it. But yeah, amazing. Have you ever had to do an engine rebuild on one?
I mean, the engines were basically, they were sealed units that came from BMW. So we will send our engines to effectively BMW Heritage for them to rebuild them. We can do obviously some engine work. BMW were quite secretive at the time with the engine, so
it goes back there.
It goes back.
There's so much to see, and I know you're very time tight today, aren't you, unfortunately?
Yes, no, sorry
you're
about that.
very busy as well because of W1, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, so my team will be landing in Chicago very shortly to start some spec sessions. And I think, in a few years' time, you're going to see some amazing MSO designs, paintworks, and configurations.
I can't wait to see them. Yeah, I haven't yet to see the car, but yeah, I want to get over to the 12C over there. But yeah, this is just your new bodywork, isn't it? So this is wider.
So this is all new carbon bodywork. So you can see from the sill and obviously the rear arch and also the bonnet has got special vents in it. So what we learnt on the last of the line car, the Sterling Moss, is sort of on this car. So charge cooler is the same, and all the suspension's modified, and we've done a lot of work to make this car drive really, really special. And then put some enormous aerodynamics on it.
We got it. Well, I saw one in the other building, and I didn't realise just how wide a tract it was. It's when you see a standard wheel within that wheel arch.
Yeah, it's 60 millimetres wider than a standard car, and then you've got this enormous diffuser in the background.
Here. Now, I'm really keen on going down this line because I've never seen. You call it
codename P11, which effectively was the 12C. It started with the 12C. This car was one of the first MSO cars, although we did have an orange car at Pebble Beach in 2011. We then obviously produced various configurations of this, finishing in the extremely rare HS model. So this is the first of the HS models.
I just love that registration before we disappear off, Neil, because Y2 MSO when mine was Y1 MSO. We still got Y1 MSO somewhere.
I should think we've got it somewhere.
I should have phoned up about that. But anyway, right. So that's early one. Roof scoop on that one.
So roof scoop on this one, and then obviously with this one more power. So taking the power up 25 PS. So increasing power, but also aerodynamics. You can see from the front, dive planes on the front, completely different spoiler. Only 10 cars in the world. So it actually started as a private commission for one customer.
It was, who had a P1 on order, and he wanted a hotter 12C,
That's right,
yeah. And that's this car?
So that's this car.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
So that's real history with this one.
And you've got little flip-ups under the HTRs.
Oh, there. I want to get down the line, but
This car, obviously, you're very familiar with.
I'm very familiar with this, and we will come back to this.
Yep, absolutely.
But I wanted to have a look at these two.
Yeah, so I think this is a really interesting car because 675 LT, obviously a really important car for McLaren's history. But even today, we can offer customers what we call an ASM service, after sales modification, where we will put a new roof scoop on the car, we will put fender louvers in, and we can do things like retrim parts and things to make the car completely unique and personalised. Wow. And this service is something that we extend on P1, on Senna, on 675, and also on the sort of the earlier 12C and 650s.
This was an option when quite a few people did not tick the box.
No,
they
didn't.
wish they
didn't.
Or second owners do.
And there's a lot of people are now saying, "Oh, I wish I'd have had a roof scoop." Well,
you say, actually, I know the man who can.
And then the final iteration.
Yes.
This is a very, very special car, only 25 in the world, the 688 HS.
I didn't know this one existed.
Yeah. So this is probably everything that we learnt on the P11 program, and taking it to the nth degree with obviously a fixed aerodynamic package for the rear, canards and diplanes on the front. This particular car has, as you can see, a carbon splitter and a carbon stripe through it that goes all the way through the body. 688 PS, so up from the 675. And very, very different driving experience.
Are there any UK cars?
This is a UK car.
Oh, is it?
Yep.
But still, it's left-hand drive?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. This is a UK registered car.
Well, I look forward to seeing it. I'll look round the back in a moment, so I see we're very tight. And there is this important car to look at here,
Absolutely.
Neil.
So it's great that, Harry, you're invested in MSO. I can see that that's the case.
Yeah, I'm very pleased with this.
We're looking forward to doing some work on it for you.
I feel like an exciting imposter when I see how much work other people do. And I just say, can you retrim my wheel, please?
But I think this is this is an important thing for people to understand, is a lot of people think, yes, MSO will do a private commission where, we'll build something like the McLaren Sabre, 15 cars globally, but we'll actually do very small work as well. And the entry level to MSO is much lower than people think it is.
Well, when I was talking to Michael, who sort of runs the day-to-day here, and he was saying you're getting more earlier cars in, dramatically more recently.
Yeah. We're getting a really good mix now of both heritage and our current car lines. Current car lines are still, I think people are personalising those cars more and more. We're doing a lot more configuration. So we introduced on the 765 LT Spider configuration for non-Ultimate Series cars, Ultimate being Senna, Elva, Speedtail and W1. But by doing that, we saw a massive increase in the amount of business that we could actually do, and the level of personalisation. Oh dear, it's a dangerous place to be. Well, if James sort of has some gold left over and he just lifts the top of mine and just see if we can put it in the engine bay for you. And with carbon bonnets and some carbon wings and some louvers just lying around. I'm sure Michael can come up with a suitable package for you. It's very kind. Good old Michael. Well, I will discuss with you exactly how the wheel, but I just basically want to get rid of these perforating. I want the bit I hold, I want to be the nicest leather possible. What I'm debating now is whether to keep the yellow. I don't particularly like it, but it's part of the history of the car because it's got so many other yellow accents on it. Well, you've got the yellow contrast stitch and you've got the yellow micropiping, so it does tend to sort of lead together, doesn't it? Yeah. But part of its history is the yellowness. But it's entirely up to you. I know. We call it the art of the possible, so that's the dangerous place. Neil, thank ever so much for your time. That was really good welcome. To look around the workworkshop. Great to see you again, and don't be a stranger. No, okay, that's fine. That's an instruction. Thank you. All right, thanks, Harry. Well, there we go. I've got my 650S back. I collected it this morning. I got the call from Michael Wrigley about a week ago. Actually, all happened a bit quicker than I expected. And I went down this morning and collected it and saw this wheel for the first time. And I could not be happier. It's just perfect. The McLaren wheel, it's simple. It's got a slight rise just as you sort of run your hands over it here. There's a slight change in contours, but nothing aggressive. None of the nonsense that BMW give us. And funny enough, I just spent a week with a Ferrari Testarossa, which you'll be seeing more of in the near future. And that has a very simple wheel. Wheels don't need reinventing. Put a beautiful covering, either like this, pure black leather, or Alcantara I quite like, but I would take this on this car. And it's just a joy to hold. And I think what you got to remember about McLarens, for me,
the steering is almost a highlight of it, and to enhance it with the most perfect wheel and this covering I've got on it now, then it just doesn't get better, and it reminds you every time you get in a car. The thing about the steering wheel, it's the bit you touch, so if it annoys, it can really annoy you because there's no escape. You can't drive a car not holding the wheel, really. So I love it for that, and they did try to keep the original bit of yellow leather, the telltale at the top of the wheel, but the stitch lines, the stitching holes wouldn't line up, so this is actually a new bit. Doesn't matter. I've also got the yellow stitching top and bottom, which is what the other wheel had. So I'm extremely happy. I am incredibly happy with it. It's just right, and I love that. But I have to thank Neil Underwood and for Michael Wrigley for giving us that chance to basically go behind the curtain at MSO. It was quite enlightening just seeing what they had there, how important actually the Mercedes McLaren SLR has become to them, and how many bespoke additions they're doing to that and work on those, and also to see those McLaren F1s having their certification and tanks changed and enhancements on those, and then to see the archives, all those files, and even the experimental cars, that was all there. But whoa, off we go. Whoa. Yeah, I'm not bored of the performance of this car. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, the archive. They even had the Le Mans 24-hour Cup in there as well, and some glorious pictures of the early days of McLaren. Yeah. So a real buzz to the place, all very busy. Great to see those models. I didn't even know that 688HS existed. And just some of the other cars they have in there. There was lots of sort of hidden rooms I couldn't show you, the cars undercover, but we got to look at a few of them. So there you go. That is MSO. This is my 650S now with its new steering wheel, and I couldn't be happier. We have some plans with this car going forward this year. You're going to be joining us on a trip in a couple of months' time, but yeah, I'm going to enjoy this car, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, well, keep watching and keep subscribing. Thank you so much for subscribing in bigger numbers. We are in touching distance of 800,000 subscribers, so thank you for that. You have to touch that button down there and you'll be subscribed. So if you do, well, there'll be more videos coming along very soon. Thanks for watching.